As soon as you start to disagree with someone, they tune you out. Or even worse, they start to form an argument against you. They'll listen to every word you say, looking for even the smallest of mistakes in an attempt to destroy your credibility. What if there was a way to disagree with people that didn't give them this opportunity? A way that forced them to listen to you? Well, there is. Today, I want to give you the two biggest mistakes you're making when you disagree with people and teach you how to avoid them. And then give you a strategy for disagreeing with people that's extremely hard to fight against and forces them to listen to you. The worst possible way you can disagree with someone is to flat out say, "I disagree," or "I believe this other thing," and then explain why. On paper, it sounds like a perfectly fine way to disagree with someone. You tell them you disagree, you explain why, you have a discussion about it, and everything works out, right? Well, no. People these days are stubborn. Now, more than ever, people do not want to change their minds. So when you just come out front and say that you disagree or that you believe something else, their brain goes to one of two places. Either they ignore you because they don't want to change their mind and you're going to say something that might do that, or, and this is the more common one, they pick apart your argument. They know that you disagree with them. They see themselves as on a different side as you. So now everything you say can only be used against you. Nothing you say will convince them. They'll only look for mistakes and things that they disagree with. We don't want to use this strategy. The second mistake you can make isn't really any better, and it's probably even more common. You've probably used this strategy once. I know I've used it a lot in the past before I realized how bad it was. It looks something like this. Someone says something that you disagree with. So you cushion your disagreement. You say some things that you might agree with. You say, "Hey, I like the direction you're going. I think you've got the right idea, and I agree with this point you made. But," and that's the mistake right there. You use the word "but" or the word "however" or some word like that. When you do this, it's basically no different than just saying that you disagree or that you believe something else, because their brain is going to go to the exact same place. Either they ignore you or try to destroy your argument. The key is to give your reasoning before you tell them, before they even realize whether or not you're agreeing or disagreeing with them. But how exactly do we do that? And how do we ensure that our reasoning is something that they can't even argue with? Now that I've given you the two biggest mistakes people make when disagreeing, I want to give you a surefire way of disagreeing with people that A, makes sure they listen, and B, makes it very, very hard for them to pick apart your argument. It comes down to two things. One, the type of evidence you give, and two, how you give it. When someone says something that you disagree with, the best way to respond is by giving evidence first and then following up that by saying something like, "This is why I believe what I do." And the best type of evidence you can give is anecdotal evidence, your own experiences. Let me give you an example of how this would look to better illustrate to you why it works so well. If someone came up to me and said, "I think engineers are lazy. They don't do any work, and I think they're not valuable employees at our company," I would say something like this in response. In my 4 years of college and few years of working, engineers have had my back several times. I've had engineers who will pull all-nighters with me just to make sure the team gets the work done. I've had engineers show up last minute when things go unexpected. I've had engineers help me with things when they were busy on their own just to ensure that I got the grade I needed. Because of this, I will say that engineers, I think, are really hard workers. They're not lazy at all. How do you disagree with me there? I gave you my own evidence. I said these are my experiences. The only thing you can say in response to that is that your experience was different. And then the disagreement is over. Nobody loses. There's no arguing. You gave your anecdotal evidence. And anecdotal evidence is the best because the other person can't just say, no, that didn't happen, or I don't believe you, because that doesn't really make sense. Tell me if this helps you. Tell me if you think this makes sense. Remember, don't open by saying you disagree. And don't use a cushion and then give a but. Instead, give anecdotal evidence and follow it up by saying, this is why you believe what you do. It will diffuse disagreements, it will get your point across more effectively, and it will ensure that nothing devolves into an argument, a yelling situation, or where two people are just spitting out facts at one another. Well, statistically speaking, but this source says. We don't want any of that. Anecdotal evidence is the best. Hopefully this helps you. If it does, be sure to leave a like, be sure to leave a sub, and give me any constructive criticism you have. I am aiming to improve. I want this channel to be the best it can be. I want you to be the best you can be, as well as myself. So I will take any criticism you have. Thanks for watching.